Welcome to From Chalkboards to Smartboards, a presentation created for the 2020 Delta Kappa Gamma International Convention. My name is Dr. Patricia Fecher, and I am the immediate past president of the Gamma Kappa chapter of North Carolina State Organization of Delta Kappa Gamma, and I was the 2017-2018 recipient of the Founders Scholarship for Doctoral Studies. I graduated in June of 2019 from Gardner-Webb University with my EDD in curriculum instruction. My primary area of study and focus is in the area of professional development. Education is organic and ever-changing. In light of COVID-19, the statement is more relevant today than it has ever been. Educators are faced with the challenge of rapidly transitioning from traditional models of instruction to digital age models of learning almost overnight. The need for high-quality professional development to support in this shift has never been more urgent. I hope the information shared here will provide and support these efforts. We are looking at changing traditional models of teaching into digital age models of instruction. Traditional instructional models of teaching are models of teaching that were designed based on a factory model of the 20th century to standardize the way teachers teach and test. Digital age learning, on the other hand, refers to the overarching vision of modern learning opportunities that are personalized, position the teacher as a facilitator, are connected to students' lives outside of school, and leverage digital tools to transform learning. We are facing many challenges in professional development. School systems are currently faced with the challenge of preparing students for a continuously evolving world. As districts are faced with this task, school leadership teams and teachers are examining how to prepare teachers who are well practiced in traditional classroom delivery methods and shift their instructional practices to meet the demands of teaching in a digital age. This causes us to reflect on traditional professional development versus digital age professional development. Traditional professional development has been steeped in sit and get models of instruction, along with seat time as methods of evaluating successful professional development models. Digital age professional development is forcing us to take a look at creating a systematic, strategic professional development plan, which prepares teachers in the essential content-specific components of instruction, provide information on scientifically based instructional materials, programs, and strategies aligned with academic and performance standards. It's asking us to enhance teachers' abilities to implement innovative strategies, as well as interventions and remediation programs, as well as facilitate the use of assessment data to inform instruction and meet the needs of all students, in addition to meeting the needs of the teachers in the classroom. It was important to take a look at the instruments and the methods for this study. It was conducted in 3 phases. To gather a perspective from a variety of stakeholders, multiple data sources were collected independent of each other within these 3 phases. Phase 1 entailed a document analysis, which gathered data at the school level using the Digital Learning Progress rubric, specifically the professional learning construct. A questionnaire was distributed during Phase 2 to teachers working in schools whose documents were analyzed during Phase 1. This school technology needs assessment professional development strand was used to gather information about individual teachers' needs and perceptions of learning in the professional area of digital age learning models. The study concluded in Phase 3 with a semi-structured focus group interview to gain a more in-depth look and perspective on the study questions, as well as support information from the document analysis and the questionnaire. Links to these resources are located at the end of the presentation for anyone who's interested in analyzing this information further. The research question that drove this study is, what are the perceptions of K-5 educators regarding technology professional development implementation needed to support the transition from traditional instructional models of teaching to digital age learning models of instruction? Specifically, taking a look at what teacher perceptions are in regard to professional learning focus, format, and participation. For purposes of this study, professional learning focus, format, and participation were linked into the definitions provided by the Friday Institute of Innovative Educational Innovation used in the Digital Learning Progress rubric. Professional learning focus. Professional learning for digital teaching and learning provides participants with the opportunity to reflect and revise content-specific implementation of curriculum and pedagogy in a digital learning environment. Professional learning format pertains to the structures by which professional learning for digital teaching and learning is delivered. A targeted format includes small group settings using multiple pedagogical strategies, including job-embedded, ongoing, relevant, and sustainable over time, based on participants' professional learning needs identified through data. And finally, we take a look at professional learning participation. Professional learning participation to support continuous growth specific to the role in education and meet the individual needs of all educators. Professional learning participation pertains to the variety of professional learning opportunities educators are provided with by the district or the school system, and or they pursue independently outside the school system. The theoretical framework used to guide the study was steeped in three areas: change theory, teacher efficacy, and adult learning theory. Change theory, according to Hall and Hord, is learning that enables teachers to change their practices. The results and the findings of this study pertaining to change theory are represented here in this wave model, which depicts learning as an ongoing cycle of improvement that introduces new learning, change occurs, and improvement happens in a wave format, indicating that change occurs over time and happens in increments. In order to achieve change in pedagogy envisioned by Hall and Hord, the LEA in the study, as well as other LEAs thinking about making these changes in their own practice, need to invest in professional learning models aligned to digital age pedagogical practices introduced previously, as well as the newly introduced academic standards, curricular resources, and equity. One way for an LEA to implement this change is to use the Digital Learning Progress rubric, elements of focus, format, and participation, as well as the STENA survey to identify specific ways in which the areas of academic standards, curriculum resources, and other topics such as equity intersect with the new learning. These areas of intersection are where professional learning development can be developed to support change over time and be monitored for improvement. Teacher efficacy. Evidence indicates that teacher self-efficacy is the belief of teachers that they are able to effectively teach the students, and partially determines the structure of academic activities in their classroom. When self-efficacy is expanded to the integration of technology and digital age learning models of instruction, teachers lacking self-efficacy in this area are more likely to underutilize technology and digital age learning models of instruction in the classroom. The participants in this study indicated that Professional development is currently not embedding technology. Participants are not using digital tools within professional development to collaborate and change their instructional practices. Professional development is still pretty much a presentation where they sit and listen to experts. They may do a few manipulatives and explore and engage with the technology or digital age learning models of instruction within the professional development setting itself, but they are not engaging in different styles of learning. Therefore, it is more difficult for them to transition those stages of learning over into their own classrooms. Professional development is still more set up like a commercial for the digital world, but there is no substance to it that supports their transition back to the classroom. Findings from the study in terms of adult learning theory. Adult learning theory, according to Elmore, emphasized that educators must learn to do new things in the setting in which they work. Building on this viewpoint, Drago-Severson identified a framework based on the ways of knowing that filter our experiences. The ways of knowing include instrumental, socializing, self-authoring, and self-transformational levels of learning. Provide professional developers a framework for adult learning that is both supportive and challenging. Within this study, we've identified 3 areas in which adult learning theory could be addressed to support teaching and learning shifting through to digital age models of professional development. The constructivism model supports that teachers learn from experience, and then they need support transferring that learning to the classroom. Learning needs to happen in both formal and informal settings. And teachers need to have input in the learning that occurs during professional development. It needs to be differentiated and aligned with the ways of knowing identified by Drago-Severson, and teachers need to be provided with an opportunity to reflect on their practice as a part of the changing models. Based on these findings, broader educational findings were identified to support the shift in professional development practices. The following section will present these findings to the viewer. The National Research Council asserted what is known about learning applies to teachers as well as to their students. Furthermore, the format of learning needed to involve learning activities that are similar to the practices teachers are expected to use with students. This statement led to the creation of this infographic depicting the models of professional development. A copy of this infographic can be found by copying the link down here at the bottom of the lower left-hand corner of the presentation. In this infographic, you will see on the left-hand side traditional professional learning models. This includes one-size-fits-all, credit given for seat time, stagnant fixed places for time, presenter-centered presentations. Presentations are stagnant, printed materials, relevant to a few, not all participants. Professional development traditionally has been measured successful by the happiness quotient, and professional learning addresses isolation, and teachers are separated from informal learning experiences outside of the initial professional learning experience. We want to start moving over to the right-hand side of the column, which takes a look at digital age learning professional models, where we shift into personalized learning. Participants not only acquire new knowledge and skills, but transfer that knowledge to the classroom. It's available anytime and anywhere. It's participant-centered. It provides participants with access to digital content that's flexible and easy to access when they are ready to access the learning for their their own purposes. Success is measured not by happiness, but by the level of reflection integrated into the site and how those participants are using the new learning inside the site. And it wants to create a culture of collaboration. Using these elements of professional development in the digital age learning model, the results of the study were organized by focus, format, and participation. As depicted in the change wave model earlier, professional development traditionally places an emphasis on the content, but the study indicates there's a lack of evidence of professional learning connected to digital age teaching and learning. This limited focus on teaching and learning was further supported through participants' discussion about planning for activities. The data presented from the 3 phases indicates participants feel there is a need to examine the focus of professional learning and its alignment to the digital age models of instruction to include personalized learning, participant-centered learning, and digital content that is provided in that flexible, easily accessed and updated. When participants reflected on format, it was established that format needs to move from a stagnant location to anytime and anywhere where they can participate in learning inside and outside of the school 24/7, with most learning being in a blended face-to-face and/or online activities. Professional learning format should also generate a culture of collaboration where teachers are empowered to learn with and from each other, not from an expert at the front of the room. They should also demonstrate practice, provide feedback, and embed their teaching and learning from the professional development inside their practices with support. Participation in digital age teaching and learning. Everybody needs to be a part of this model. Administrators, coaches, teachers, teacher assistants, and any additional stakeholder that works with students. It should be participant-centered, where it's job embedded and ongoing to support connected to the teaching and learning activities with instructional leaders serving as facilitators and coaches, not as evaluators. Participants should acquire new skills during professional learning, but then should be expected to transfer those skills to classroom practices and be assessed on the impact those newly acquired skills have on student learning. Success of professional development should not be measured by the happiness quotation at the end of a session, but should be measured by the level of reflection integrated in site-based learning activities used to provide ongoing data about participants' use of new learning and pedagogical practices as linked to student outcomes on standardized tests and other assessment measures. Education is changing at a rapid pace. We need to continue to grow and evolve to change with the demands the 21st century and digital age learning models of instruction expect of us. Although the results of this study are only a year old, much like the latest technology you purchase, it is already outdated. The landscape of education is rapidly changing, and as a result of COVID-19, further research needs to be done to continue to grow and improve on the elements that I presented here today. 3 areas recommended for further research would be to take a look at a replication study at a K-5 or a K-12 area, K-5 or a K-12 setting. In light of COVID-19 and the pandemic, we have shifted our professional development greatly in the past 4 months. Gathering this data at this time would add additional insight to the emerging needs of educators. Another area to take a look at is the relationship between the students, the school, the district, educator prep programs, and those working at the state level. The study only took a look at the K-5 setting and specifically focused on teachers within that setting. Another area of work would be to look at the continuous improvement planning over time. These instruments are fairly new and have only been implemented one time. As we know that as changes occur, it would be important to take a look at how these resources are improving and shifting the practices of teachers, not only in professional development, but in their classroom setting. This is an exciting time to be working in education. Some additional pieces that I am personally working on include working with educator prep programs using the instruments mentioned in this study, as well as expanding into higher education faculty, as we are all looking to shift and change our instructional practices to support teaching and learning across the landscape. As mentioned earlier, this presentation is based off of my dissertation work, which is listed here in the references and resources section, and can be downloaded from ProQuest Dissertation Publishing Company. In addition, I have provided a direct link to the dissertation reference page, the school technology needs assessment, as well as the digital learning progress rubric that were used within the study, and the models of professional development infographic that was shared earlier in the presentation. As I mentioned, I'm also doing work at the educator prep level, and I've provided some information for those of you who are interested in the educator prep or higher ed level of teaching and learning. I've provided you with some work that has been done in the past year related to micro-credentialing through the digital learning professional development strategy for colleges of education. And then finally, the professional development strategy itself that was developed for that project. Thank you for your time during this to review this presentation. If you have any additional information requests, I am currently working at Methodist University in the Department of Teacher Education as an assistant professor, as well as the Director of Field Experience and Student Teaching. I also will serve in the role this coming year as the Director of Methodist University Teaching and Learning Center. Thank you again for your time, and it's been an honor to share this information with the members of Delta Kappa Gamma. I hope you enjoy the rest of the sessions that are available throughout this conference session.